We're going to go to line number 3. We're speaking with the Member of Parliament for Labrador, Ms. Yvonne Jones. Good morning to you.
Good morning, and how's everything in St. John's this morning?
It's kind of nice. We're going to get some snow apparently later on today, so I know that everyone up in Labrador is probably saying ha ha ha. But we had a couple of days of sun. It was kind of nice, I got to say.
Listen, I'll tell you something about us in Labrador. We love the snow when it's there. We like to have lots of it, and we enjoy it. But when it starts to go, we want to be rid of it as well. So we're no different than anyone else when it comes to that.
Wonderful. Yvonne Jones, I'm glad you called. I got a couple of questions. I put the questions out here today about, how cost prohibitive it is for us on the island to travel to Labrador on a regular or semi-regular basis for the purposes of tourism and visiting. It's cheaper to fly to Vancouver than it is to Goose Bay from right here in the capital city. Do you think that if the federal Liberals come into power, let's say, in the next federal election, is there a possibility to get some sort of travel relief here for interprovincial travel? Am I just pie in the sky here? What do you think?
Well, I don't know what the federal government can do other than from a regulatory perspective, and that would be really looking at the number of travelers, looking at the cost, what the rate of return is for the companies that are there. So there's a lot of variables that would go into that mix, and of course that's something that could be looked at by either or federal governments.
Right.
And I would encourage both to look at it simply because of the reasons that you've just said. I fly the airlines every week, sometimes 2 and 3 times a week, in and out of the province, but also within the province. And I also constantly fly between St. John's and Labrador and between Goose Bay, Walbush, and coastal communities. So I know firsthand what the cost is to consumers. And I know that unless you have deep pockets, there are very few people that can actually see their own province and travel within their own province when they have to buy air rate tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get into an area like I am right now in Labrador, where the government has already put in a landing fee of $40 on each of those runways, it doesn't seem like a lot of money, but if you're already paying over $1,000 for an airline ticket to get from Goose Bay to Nain, every dollar that goes on that ticket starts adding up and makes a difference to the consumer.
Okay, so you're saying exactly what the opposite of what I said. I mean, if you're going to pay $1,000, what the heck is $40 onto a ticket? But I did raise exactly what you're saying. If it is, from one part of Labrador to the other, that additional $40, that does add up, doesn't it?
It really does, because, the $40 is a taxi fare, too, when you get on the ground.
Good point.
There's a lot more things that goes into traveling. But, you could use that example, and I could use the example of the provincial government that's going to run a deficit of $1.4 billion.
Mm-hmm.
What difference did the extra $50,000, $60,000 make? If it's going to come out of people's pockets, maybe they should have just given those people a little break as well. But they're saying it's affiliated with the cost of operating there, but I also know that the federal government transfers about $1 million a year to the province to do maintenance work on those runways. So if the cost is rising, maybe that's the avenue they need to be looking at. But at this rate, I think when you start passing along peddly amounts of money like that in a budget, even though you're running top deficits, I think it's very small politics in my mind, and it does have an impact on the people that have to pay the bill at the end of the day. And in this case, it's the people in coastal Labrador.
Well, it's an excellent point, but as you know, there are many increases in this provincial budget. This is merely one of, I think, about 200, according to what people are saying. I have not counted each and every one, but Yvonne, do we not all have to share the burden, unfortunately, of the economic situation that we're in?
Oh, absolutely. And when you choose to share the burden, you also like to share the good times as well. And I've certainly never felt that as Labradorians we got to share in the heyday of the have status of the province when the dollars were rolling in. If we did, our infrastructure would be a lot further advanced than it is today. So I really feel we didn't get to be a part of the catch-up game.
But the trickle-down effect of all these mega projects that are happening in Labrador means that people have been gainfully employed for, a long time, and there is a benefit to having these large salaries. Is that not a benefit that we can consider?
Huge benefit. There's no doubt about that. And we're starting to see right away what the impact of losing those salaries are. I was in Labrador West again this weekend, and, it's an absolute crime. I mean, what's been happening in that community. I drove up and down one particular street. I think there was 14 for sale signs, something I have not seen in the community in the 2 years that I have been the member of parliament there.
So sad.
So it's very sad, and constantly I'm meeting with families in the community who's went from having what I call middle class status incomes of maybe $70,000-$80,000 a year jobs to basically unemployment insurance, which takes them to half that.
Right.
And then, of course, to not having any employment benefits and trying to find any kind of a job that they can get. So, they've seen their income slashed by 2/3 in most cases, and their cost of living has not changed. So it has become very difficult. I talked to a young couple recently who both lost their jobs with IOC, who have children. They now have their house for sale. They have to move on. It's not a matter of choice anymore. It's a matter of fact that they have no option.
It's a matter of survival. It's absolutely true. And people might be saying, screaming at the radio, saying, well, boys, you got to save for a rainy day. But, I mean, geez, even our government can't save for a rainy day. So, listen, it's very hard. It's very hard to put dollars away. We all know that. So it's no surprise that there are for sale signs, not only in Labrador, not only in places like Wabush and I'm assuming Goose Bay as well, and Lab West. It is happening here, right here in the center of St. John's. And Yvonne, just to touch briefly, 22% lower house sales in Alberta this month as opposed to 12 months ago. The people are putting up stakes, as the expression goes, all across the country. This is not just exclusive to Labrador, but it breaks your heart when you have small concentrations of population like you do in Labrador to see that people are forced to leave.
Well, that's absolutely true. I know that Labrador is not an isolated case here. Wherever we have seen non-renewable resource developments, they have been affected this year, whether it's in oil and gas or in the mining sector. So there are many regions across Canada that are going through this transition. And I know it's no different than, the fall of the manufacturing sector in 2008, 9, and 10 in Canada, which left a lot of families in the same situation. I'm not really sure if there's an answer to mitigate all of this. In fact, just Monday morning, actually Tuesday morning, yesterday morning, I met with 5 economists and that came to speak at a panel discussion that I attended. It was a private session, and these were economists from the top 5 banks in Canada. And, the questions that I had, obviously, were around large-scale development projects, market conditions, and the fallout of that, because that's what I'm living with in my riding right now, the loss of jobs and how that affects people.
Right.
And even, from their best answers and expertise, they do not really see solutions either, simply because of the global conditions. And these are, highly traded commodities. They depend upon a lot of circumstances in the world, and we don't really have the control over what happens, unfortunately. And that's what's happening in Wabush today, in Labrador City, and, in places like Fort McMurray and other places. So, it's really about having the stamina to to carry on in the face of this and try and mitigate your way through it. They're forecasting, of course, that, the oil prices could be down for up to a year, but mining prices could take a couple of years before it starts to turn around. So, I'm not seeing an end to this in the next few months. I think it's going to be longer than that. And as governments on all sides, provincially and federally, we have to deal with this in our budgets, in our election platforms, because people need jobs. And without jobs and without the ability to stimulate the economy for people to create more jobs, we don't have other options.
No, we have no solutions for recruitment or retention or any of that. Yvonne, just because of the time, we're going to have to call it at this point, but thank you as always. Next time we chat, I want to discuss the Statistics Canada that shows that Labrador has a crime rate of more than 3 times the national average. But until then, enjoy the day, and I hope the snow melts real soon.
Okay, I'll give you a call later in the week. Thank
Cheers.
you so much.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy today. Bye-bye.